Kaede, and I'm here with Patrick.
Howdy.
And I'm here with Dr. Gwynette, and we're going to talk about MS-DOS games. They're old retro computer games that people played before modern gaming. MS-DOS. They need emulators nowadays. And I recommend D-Fend Reloaded. It's spelled D-F-E-N-D. Reloaded.
And what do emulators exactly do?
They let people play nostalgic games. Even if they kill the authentic experience, it's still worth getting emulators for nostalgic reasons.
So you've got a new PC, and if you have an emulator, you can run really old software.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So did the game...
Yeah, from the SNES to a Game Boy to even old phones.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you can run like a Motorola Razr or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. There's an emulator for everything.
Yeah, just about.
Mm-hmm.
And D-Fend Reloaded, it's very convenient for playing MS-DOS games. You wouldn't have to type in the annoying commands. It gets so tedious and annoying and confusing.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you have to do it on command prompt or something like that. I mean, it's just so hard to remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
But D-Fend Reloaded changed that.
It did?
Yeah. Whenever you open D-Fend Reloaded, you can click the game and play it no problem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, certain games that really work, like Powerslave.
Hmm.
And Powerslave is my favorite MS-DOS game.
What is Powerslave?
Well, Powerslave is a first-person shooter. It takes place in Egypt, and you have to save King Ramses II. It's a really awesome first-person shooter. The original DOS game, well, you don't have to find his treasures exactly, but in the PSX version, you find his treasures.
Cool.
Anyway, back to MS-DOS. Powerslave was the game I fell in love with, and I first played the demo. It was love at first sight. I downloaded it from a game disc called 1000 Plus Games, and when I started playing it, it was like, oh wow, this game is superb.
Now, when did that game originally come out?
I'm not really sure. Probably in 1991 or so. I don't remember.
Powerslave.
Is it safe to say that was before?
84.
1984?
Yeah.
Wow, so way before.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh, wow. Powerslave is very detailed for its time. And also, there's a game more detailed than Powerslave called Blood. It's another first-person shooter, but it takes place in a graveyard setting.
Interesting name.
Yeah. And you play this badass guy named Caleb, and he really is a badass. A legitimate one.
Mm-hmm.
So back in MS-DOS, you mentioned like the command prompt. So are you saying that there wasn't really a big video aspect, that it was mostly typing?
Well, originally there was text-based adventures for DOS. But I'm not into text-based adventures.
Right.
I prefer video games with graphics.
Yeah, me too.
So Powerslave had graphics on MS-DOS?
Yeah, really good ones. And Blood had even better ones.
Okay. And back then, would you use like your arrow keys and the space bar?
Oh, yes. We would.
Okay. For those who don't know, what's the difference between an MS-DOS system and like Windows?
Well, MS-DOS, well, it's hard to explain. But sound cards are kind of different from Windows. Like there's Gravis Ultrasound, Sound Blaster, etc. It's hard to explain.
So the graphics cards are different?
I meant sound cards.
Oh, the sound cards.
That. And of course, they're old systems. I mean, they're old games that can't be run on a computer without an emulator.
Yeah.
I use D-Fend Reloaded for all my DOS games now.
How do you get a copy of D-Fend Reloaded?
I'll have to place a link in the description.
Okay. And you pay for it?
No, you don't. It's free. I think you get it on SourceForge or something. I don't remember exactly. But it's worth getting if you want to play MS-DOS games.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the text-based games, and right before we came on, you and I were talking about Zork. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, Zork 1, 2, and 3, which was a text-based game that began in 1977. And I remember playing this like in 1984. And so you would start off, you'd put your little floppy disk in, and it would spin, and you start to hear like, it would say something like, you are on a road, and you type in walk forward, and then the disk would go, it'd say, you come to a man. Then you'd say, attack man, or speak to man. You type it in. And
yeah, text-based adventures are not my thing.
Yeah, it was so slow. You'd be waiting and waiting for a reply. Yeah,
I remember floppy disks.
Yeah, at the time,
Lord.
Yeah, it was amazing because to us, we could type in like, slap man or talk to man, whatever it was, and the computer would kind of know it would have an answer ready. And so all that programming on the back end had to be ready for whatever the user would type in.
Oh, yeah. And my mom also played King's Quest before.
Uh-huh. Now, what is that?
I'm not entirely sure. I never played it before, but mom's talked about it.
And so, Zephyr, are you a fan of retro games as well?
More modern games, but I have played older games as well. And like a very few MS-DOS games when I was growing up. Let's see, one I vividly remember playing is a game called Spitwad Willie. In that game, you would shoot spitwads at these bouncing balls.
Wow, that sounds nasty.
Yeah. Good thing I haven't played that game, though.
It had some old graphics, so it wasn't really detailed.
Do you guys remember the very first game you ever played in your life?
With MS-DOS, you mean?
I think it means in general.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I played so many games. But I do remember Living Books.
Living what?
Living Books. Like interactive stories, like there's Sheila Ray the Brave.
How do those work?
Well, you interact with the story. Like
Okay,
you click on the characters and they do something.
Uh-huh. And is it like on a computer screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But they weren't necessarily MS-DOS. We should get back to the MS-DOS subject.
Okay. Yeah, what are some of the other MS-DOS games that you like?
I know there's Doom, which is very familiar to other people, and there's Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
I still need to play those.
Yeah. So do I. And then there's Clyde's Revenge, which is a platformer game where you collect stones.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah. Clyde's Revenge is pretty kid-friendly, but it's not just for children. But people are familiar with Earthworm Jim.
Oh yeah. Wait, that was an MS-DOS game?
I think so, yeah.
I know he was on like NES or SNES.
So Earthworm Jim, like what was the plot to that one?
Where you play as Worm in a spacesuit and you shoot enemies and stuff. It's a platformer game too. It's really weird.
Kaede, did you ever hear of a game called Dig Dug?
Oh yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's pretty fun too.
Yeah, but it gets frustrating.
Yeah, because it speeds up, I think, doesn't it?
And sometimes you crush yourself with the boulders, and sometimes the enemies get you. It can cause a rage quit.
Definitely. Yeah, so MS-DOS games, those are, I guess that means that it's predated Windows. Is that what it means?
Probably. I don't know.
I guess Windows came out like in 1995.
MS stands for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what DOS stands for, but MS-DOS games, they're pretty nostalgic.
Yeah, so a lot of the games that you're talking about, they came out before you were born, right?
Yeah, some of them. I was born in 1994.
That's awesome. So are MS-DOS games kind of like old movies where some people really just love old movies?
Yeah, kinda.
I guess you can compare them to old movies.
Yeah. And sometimes the graphics aren't the best in DOS games. Sometimes it can be pretty glitchy. And I do remember doing some playthroughs on some DOS games on my computer. And I did a D-Fend Reloaded tutorial on my YouTube channel.
Cool. Was that something that people enjoyed watching?
I hope so. I hope that people enjoyed my VTube avatar teaching people how to use MS-DOS games.
Okay, so you have a tutorial showing people how to use an emulator?
Yeah, on D-Fend Reloaded.
That's
I use my VTube avatar. Although I may have to edit the video, make the music quieter. I used the Powerslave demo to demonstrate.
So Powerslave is popular. What are some other like really popular MS-DOS games out there?
I'm not sure.
Did either of you guys play a lot of Doom?
I never played a single Doom game. And that crap scares the heck out of me due to how graphic it gets.
Well, I played Doom. It can get pretty hard too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very popular DOS game. And they actually made a movie based off of it, but it's kind of different from the game.
They did?
Yeah.
Like how different?
In the Doom movie, there's this injection that either turns the man into a hero or a monster. They turn the main character into a hero and they turn the bad guy into a monster.
Either of you ever play Half-Life?
Half-Life?
I think I know what that is.
Yeah, that used to be really popular as a PC game. I think it was on Windows. It was one of the big popular ones. You ever heard of Counter-Strike?
Oh, it's on Steam. Half-Life is.
I don't think I've heard of that either.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of boards where you can basically jump in a board and try to just shoot as many people as you can, but it's all live players, multiplayers.
Oh, like a battle royale.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Counter-Strike, where you have like eight or 10 people versus 8 or 10 other people. It's like terrorists versus counter-terrorists. That was very popular too, because you have your own little unit and you run through.
Yeah, I never heard of that either. I'm not into battle royale games.
Wait, what's the name of this game?
Counter-Strike? That was really popular like in the late 90s, early 2000s. I actually got a little bit hooked on Counter-Strike and Half-Life especially, because you jump in and it'd take a while for you to get your first kill, but then after you got your first kill, you wanted that next one.
And also, MS-DOS music is pretty unique.
Yeah, what's unique about it?
Well, the sound cards from like Sound Blaster, Gravis, Ultrasound, etc., etc. I was trying to find some sort of sound card for it to convert some music, but I'm not very good with music. Now, I do remember Ken's Labyrinth, which is a first-person shooter that issued Jelly at Aliens. That had really good music. I think you like Ken's Labyrinth, Patrick.
Ken's Labyrinth?
Ken's Labyrinth.
Ken's Labyrinth.
Yeah, Ken.
What the heck?
Are you looking it up now?
Yeah, I just did Mr. Shit. What the heck am I looking at?
It's an old DOS game.
When you guys play MS-DOS games, is there a community that plays them?
Nope. Not that I know of. MS-DOS games are basically extinct.
Ah.
Now, in Ken's Labyrinth, do you have a weapon?
Yeah, a jelly shooter. It doesn't show the weapon, but you can shoot. I loved playing Ken's Labyrinth.
And so these games are not online. They're just, you play them on your computer.
Yeah, you can download them online. Like myabandonware.com is a good example.
I might check this one out.
What, Ken's Labyrinth?
Yeah.
It's pretty good, but unfortunately, some of the games on myabandonware.com, they require money, but you can get them for free on other sites.
That's good.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to play an MS-DOS game, they first should order Defend.
They should download D-Fend Reloaded.
D-Fend Reloaded. Okay. And then how do you get a copy of an MS-DOS game now that they're almost extinct?
You have to download it from the website and open D-Fend Reloaded and import the game into D-Fend Reloaded, the program.
And so, like, for instance, Doom, does Doom still have a website that you can buy from, or is it just, like, out there?
I think it's just out there. I'm not sure.
Okay. How did you pick up Powerslave?
How I just got it?
Yeah.
Well, I think I downloaded it a while back, and I was looking hard for the demo, and I eventually found it.
Okay. So a demo, what's the difference between a demo and, like, the actual game?
Well, the demo version, the first level is somewhat different from the final version. And it has DOS-style music, unlike the final version. Kind of strange how they did that.
Yeah, so is the demo version easier to find than the full version?
Nah, I think the full version is easier to find.
But you prefer the demo version of Powerslave?
Yeah, I think I have something in my Google Drive, a bunch of DOS games I shared with Patrick, right?
Yeah, you did share a bunch.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my Google Drive thing with everyone, whoever listens to this.
Our messenger history, you were talking about it.
Oh, yeah. And I think there are some mods for MS-DOS games. I'm not entirely sure. Like there's Barney Stein. Like
Barney Stein?
Yeah.
Like Barney the dinosaur?
Yeah. Like you put Wolfenstein and the enemies are Barney instead of Nazis. Yeah, Wolfenstein. It's basically an anti-Nazi game. If anybody remembers Wolfenstein, it's a first-person shooter.
And was that MS-DOS?
Yes, it was.
How was it an anti-Nazi game?
The enemies were Nazis and you shoot them down.
And that was pretty popular?
Yeah, I think it was. And there was also tons of other MS-DOS games, even some point-and-click ones. One of my favorites is Plague of the Moon, where you play as this witch.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also Time Paradox, where you stop Morgana Le Fay as this time traveler woman named Kay. Time Paradox is kind of strange to me, but it's still fun, because you time travel to the age of dinosaurs, meet cavemen.
Wow.
And even go to the Middle Ages to stop Morgana Le Fay and waken Merlin the Wizard.
Wow, that sounds really imaginative, like very creative. Time Paradox?
Yeah, it's a little strange to me, but I still like it. And the characters have English accents, like, if I do that, that'll stir up a hornet's nest. Yeah, British accents.
So Zephyr Blaze, tell us about when you were first born as a gamer. What were you playing?
The first game I played was Super Mario All-Stars on NES, and it was on my sister's SNES. That was my formal introduction to games.
Okay, so that's on Super Nintendo?
Mm-hmm.
Was that like late 90s or?
I think so. Early 90s. 93.
93, okay. Did either of you guys ever play the Atari 2600?
Nope.
That was before my time.
Yeah.
Have you heard a lot about it?
I heard about this game called E.T. and it was considered the worst game in the world.
Oh, God.
On Atari?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I never played that game, but that set, the 2600 it kind of ruled for like 5 or 6 years there. It was insanely popular. And it was popular because of the games. Really, it was just a joystick, pretty much.
Yeah.
They had so many great games. And when Pac-Man came out for Atari, it was like uniting the clans, where you had these arcade games that would only be in the arcade.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I remember Pac-Man.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they could migrate over to the Atari 2600, like Asteroids was one of the first, and like Frogger. And then when Pac-Man came over.
Oh, I just remembered. I had Asteroids on MS-DOS too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us
Cool.
about how that experience was. Was the music like this?
That sounds more like Jaws.
It kind of sounds like it was, but yeah, it would just be like bum 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 bum.
Yeah, it sounded. It's been a long time, but I think it sounded like that.
Yeah, and then it'd be like do-do-do-do,
Yeah, and you were in a triangular spaceship shooting asteroids.
Yep. And don't start moving the ship, because if you start moving, it was so hard to stop. It'd just be like, it would go this way and then it'd come back on the screen this way. So it goes zoop, zoop, zoop.
Mhm.
As if you were headed
That's
this way.
annoying.
Yeah, but that's how it was.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You remember?
Yeah, that killed me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I played Asteroids before.
Yeah.
And it should look more like a paper airplane than a spaceship.
So on the Atari, the score on Asteroids only went to like 99,999. Yeah, maybe it was 100,000 or maybe it went to 1,000,000. So there used to be this thing called flipping, meaning you flip the game from 999,999 to 0. And then you start over. So if
Oh,
someone
the
was about to-
resets.
Yeah,
Oh,
if someone was about to flip the game, like let's say I was playing, like a couple of my friends were there and they'd be like, hey, go out in the neighborhood and go tell everyone that I'm about to flip Asteroids, because it was a major news event, So I'd be playing, because, I'm on my
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're on your last life, you're trying to flip it, and then like 5 or 6 other guys are coming in, now they're watching and you're trying to flip it, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then if you flipped it, you're just like, yes, it was like really, really rare because you only get 3 lives, Maybe, I can't remember.
How do you flip Asteroids?
Well, it just means the score goes from 999,000 to 1,000,000. And then once it hits 1,000,000, instead of going to 1,0,0,0,0, it would go to 0. And then you start counting again. So
it does that automatically.
Yeah, it would take like 3 or 4 hours to flip it. It was a really big deal, because I can't remember if you would get an extra life.
Yeah, I never heard of somebody flipping a game.
Yeah. And usually there'd be like a spaceship that would go by, an asteroid. So you're trying to like defend off the asteroids, but then also you're trying to hit like this thing for bonuses. It was pretty hectic. Did you guys ever play like Donkey Kong or?
I remember Donkey Kong, but we're on MS-DOS.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We got off topic there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
In another MS-DOS game, well, there are some Mario games for MS-DOS, like Mario's Time Machine and Mario Teaches Typing.
So that's the one with the big Mario head?
Yeah,
Oh my
and
goodness.
Mario Teaches Typing. It's been a popular YouTube poop source.
What's YouTube poop?
Oh, it's a genre that's unique on YouTube where the videos are so messed up it's funny. It gets so random and screwy. I made some of my own.
So people,
Basically, you string it butter and add some funny audio.
okay.
That sound about right?
Something like that, yeah. And you mix up the sources and stuff. Yeah, back to MS-DOS. Well, MS-DOS games had so many games, and some of them were kind of crappy. Not just text-based ones.
Well, they were old games. You can't expect something too spectacular from back then.
Yeah, I know. But Blood was ahead of its time. For an old DOS game, it's so detailed. But some of the details are really wrong. Like, you can actually get yourself killed by shutting a door on yourself and squishing yourself to death.
If somebody wrote the code for that, if somebody comes too close, they'll squish themselves.
No. It's for the door, and they squish themselves to death with the door. It's just so weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, people don't actually do that in real life as funny as it sounds, but it's actually only in blood, which is just screwed up.
Yeah.
And also, there are some educational MS-DOS games like 3D Dinosaur Adventure. That I really remember. It's pretty educational and it had good music too. And also, Knowledge Adventure not only created 3D Dinosaur Adventure, they made 3D Body Adventure, they made Speed Adventure, Space Adventure, etc. Knowledge Adventure had some good music, even though the games were specifically for kids. And I wish I could compose music MS-DOS style, but I suck at doing music.
So music's not your thing in terms of programming and recording.
Right. I suck at writing music. I have no musical talent.
But you are a visual artist.
Yes, I am. I haven't drawn in a while, but I need to get back into drawing. And I also love playing video games, even MS-DOS games.
How many hours a day do you play video games?
I don't know, most of my day. I know it's not healthy, but it's better than nothing. Better than moping around in depression. If you're going to play MS-DOS games, get D-Fend Reloaded. It's worth it. And watch my video on how to use D-Fend Reloaded.
You want to?
So you can learn how to use it.
Yeah, you want to tell the people what your YouTube handle is?
Yeah. My YouTube is Kaede Ennead. Kaede space Ennead.
Kaede, right?
Yeah. Ennead.
Were there certain big companies that were cranking out MS-DOS games?
Well, I know there was Knowledge Adventure, and then that's all I could think of. Knowledge Adventure did 3D Dinosaur Adventure, and then they did 3D Body Adventure, Undersea Adventure for MS-DOS. That's all I can think of in terms of MS-DOS companies.
Kaede, earlier you mentioned Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
You played that a little?
I just played Duke Nukem a tiny bit. I played the platform version, and I briefly played the first-person shooter version.
What'd you think?
Well, I don't know. Still good. I haven't played enough of it yet.
It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah. Powerslave is closest to my heart.
Yeah, that's your favorite.
Yeah.
What is it about older games, especially MS-DOS games, that makes you prefer them?
Well, the music. It's beautiful. It can be pretty, and the graphics make me feel nostalgic. And that's what I was playing when I was younger.
So nostalgia is the big factor here.
Yes, it is.
I can see that.
Yeah, and emulators are great for nostalgic people like me.
Do you guys like other old stuff, like old clothes or old movies?
Well, sometimes, but we still have to stay on MS-DOS. Well, one of my favorite old movies was Matilda.
I never heard of Matilda.
It's an old movie, but it's a good movie. It's an oldie but a goodie, like I Love Lucy is.
I know I Love Lucy.
Yeah, I Love Lucy can be really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Chocolate Factory episode where the wives and the husband switched jobs. That one was hilarious. Anyway, back to MS-DOS games.
Mm-hmm.
Get D-Fend Reloaded. Check out some MS-DOS games. Check them out on My Abandonware and other sites where you can download MS-DOS games and enjoy them if you want to.
Are they available for Mac as well?
I think so, but look up D-Fend Reloaded and check it out. It's worth getting if you want to play MS-DOS games. You just drag the applications over to D-Fend Reloaded, and then...
D-Fend is not on Mac, but alternatives.
That's understandable, but if you have a Windows computer, get D-Fend Reloaded if you want to play MS-DOS games. You can just drag the applications on the D-Fend Reloaded, and they'll install it.
It's saying the best Mac alternative is RetroArch, which is both free and open source.
Yeah. I haven't tried much of RetroArch on my phone. I mainly used RetroArch for Game Boy games and DS games, but it didn't work out for me.
What do you mean?
It was giving me a hard time on my phone.
Oh, was it like lagging or something?
Something like that, and I didn't know how to put cheats in.
Oh.
Anyway, well, this has been the podcast. Thank you for listening, everyone. If anybody wants to play MS-DOS games, check out D-Fend Reloaded, download some games for MS-DOS, and enjoy the nostalgia.
Thanks, Kaede. Thanks, Zephyr Blaze.
So that's the end of the podcast.